Welcome to the Echo Tips Podcast.
And here's a sneak peek of what you'll find in this episode.
Okay, so there you go. That's probably one of the original jingles. Well, hello, and welcome to the Echo Tips Podcast. It's good to have you returning listeners and you new listeners. It's good to have you here as well. I'm the host of the show. My name is David Ward, and I do still have a little bit of that cough or scratch in my throat that I had from that cold. I'm predominantly over it, but that little scratch or cough comes back now and again, so you may hear it in my voice today. But anywho, so what are we going to be talking about this week? Well, again, ironically, as of August 6th, we do have some new information. So let's run that jingle. So that's right, we got breaking news. So what do we got this week for you guys? Well, as of August the 6th, 2026, there is a rollout in a new country of A Lady Plus, and that is in Australia, down under, right, guys? So it's great to have you guys now having a limited access as it's starting to roll out, a soft rollout in Australia. And so we'll talk a little bit more about what that is, the countries that are available, some interesting stats that came out of the press release about the Australia release, and just thought I'd cover some of those basics with you as well. So, and this is ahead of my notification system telling me about it. I just happened to see on LinkedIn Panos Panay from Amazon devices and services mentioning it, and then I was like, oh, I bet there's a post about that, and there was just a brand new blog post on August the 6th about this rollout. The other item we're going to be discussing today, because I just don't want to be constantly announcing, hey, there's new countries, and there are actually 10 new countries expected for 2027. But what I thought we'd also talk about is alarms and alarm sounds. So alarms are a fundamental feature of the Amazon Echo going way, way back. And we always had different jingle options and so a separate volume for alarms, if you didn't know that. But you have these ability to do some really neat customizations, have it kind of slowly come up in volume as an option. You have the ability for maybe even to control your lights and different things. And to really have a custom jingle or station, an internet station or whatever the case may be. And how do you configure that? And where is that now in the app? I hadn't delved into that in quite a while, so we'll briefly cover that today, and you may find that super handy for setting alarms around your house, in your bedroom, for your kids or whatever. I mean, they have their own little Mickey Mouse jingles or whatever in the morning, so you could do some pretty cool stuff with this. All right, well, before we delve into that, any kind of depth about the country announcements and about alarms, just for our new listeners, we'd like to welcome you. As the name of the show implies, we deal with everything related to the voice assistants made by Amazon, the Amazon Echo line of hardware, and the, of course, software accompanying that, the Alexa Lady. We just say A Lady so we don't set off your Echoes at home. And we also talk about other voice assistants when it's appropriate to kind of do comparisons, like the Google Nest and Gemini features. We've talked about Siri and other AI bots and things you can interact with verbally. And so we have a huge back catalog. Us now in we're just closing out our 8th season, just here in another episode or so. And we'll be starting our 9th season. So we have a huge back catalog. We're a weekly show. And I'll mention our YouTube channel is a great way to go back if you're trying to triage a problem. Or if you're one of our new Australian listeners, that's a great way to go back and learn all about A Lady Plus now that it is available to you. And I'll mention how to do that here in just a little bit when we talk about the country info. All right, but before I keep rambling on, we'll have a brief transition, and then we'll be right back with our show. Hey guys, all right, so let's delve into this information, starting off with the country information and some interesting stats that came out in the blog post from Amazon. So as of August the 6th, it has been it's a soft rollout in Australia of A-Lady Plus and all its features. I didn't see any kind of like special, like nuanced, like you're getting this but not getting that. I suppose that's still possible, but it looks like basically what everybody else has been getting here in the United States and in Canada and the like, you're going to have access to now. Okay, let me get the list here. And so here's the list of countries that is available in soft rollout for. United Kingdom, Canada, actually their soft rollout has just wrapped up, so you got to pretty much pay for it now. But United Kingdom, Canada, Mexico, Italy, Spain, Germany, Austria, Brazil, which is one we just announced recently on a podcast. That was in June, I believe. They actually did the soft rollout there. And France. And I don't know if I missed France in my last notes or maybe I said it. I don't feel like I've said France before, but I did look back in our the blog post, and that preceded Brazil, I think back in May or something. So France does have access to it. Now, as far as this rollout goes in Australia for you Aussies, it looks like it's going to be, they said several thousand people will be invited over the next several weeks. And they mentioned too the pricing. So at first, it's going to be free. So everybody who has access to the limited soft beta rollout has access to it for free. Now, all those countries I mentioned above, except for, the United States, we have it officially now. In Canada, their limited soft beta rollout just wrapped up. So we basically have to pay for it eventually whenever that wraps up. So in Australia, once the soft rollout and all that is done with, and whatever they designate that to be, it's going to be $29.99. That's Australian dollars. And if you do a conversion into US, it's roughly around $21 or something. I saw the Canadian price tag too. I would imagine most of these are hitting somewhere around what the US is, which is basically $20, $19.99, something around per month. Now, that's usually a horrible idea to pay for it that way. At least it is here in the United States. Here and elsewhere in all these countries that I've seen, if you have Amazon Prime, which is their shipping service along with their video service and a whole plethora of other things they give you with Amazon Prime, and you're an annual subscriber to that, then you're just going to get access to A-Lady Plus for free. So after the soft rollout is done and now it's kicking into actually billing mode, they're just going to continue. If you're an Amazon Prime member, you're going to get it for free. However, if you're not, you either have to do this sign up for it independently, which is more expensive usually, or just go with Amazon Prime, and then you can get it at a cheaper rate. So for here in the U.S., I think Amazon Prime is like maybe $15 a month or something versus the $19.99 you would just play independently for A-Lady, which you don't want to go that route. You would just go and get the Prime. It's a better deal. Okay, so let's see other notes they had here. Over the last 12 months, A-Lady in Australia has had 77 million different questions asked. So that's kind of cool. They also mentioned, I think, I guess this year alone, or I don't know if they meant the last 12 months as well, there's been over 2 billion different inquiries or invocations of the A-Lady in Australia. So I guess the distinction between those is, questions are, like, why is the sky blue, or what's the weather report? That's a question. While other invocations may be like turn on the lights or, turn the thermostat up or something like that. So there's a variety of invocations. Probably asking for the time might not be classified as a question. I don't know. But those other kind of like control commands. So 2 billion. So Australians are using this stuff quite a bit. Another interesting number I saw here is in 2025 in Australia, over 600 million home automation requests made in Australia. 600 million home automation requests made in 2025 by Australians. So that's light switches. That could be any kind of smart bulbs or anything you're using, thermostats and the like, video cameras, security cameras. So anything, 600 million home automation requests. So that's pretty amazing. So anyway, now as is the case with all the country releases, if you look at the blog post, it's just not a text-to-speech voice that sounds Australian that's talking to the A-Lady. and the new improved voices with the A-Lady Plus, but also really an awareness of the culture and local idioms and way Australians talk about things and whatever the case may be. And that goes for Germany and other places. It could even be food or the way people refer to things. So it's a pretty cool, amazing rollout that they're doing. All these different countries just pretty much this year. And as I saw in somewhere, I think estimated 10 other countries coming in 2027. Okay, well, that will wrap that up. We're going to now talk about alarms. So real quick, I'm going to use the wake word, not ALAXA, but Captain Kirk's favorite word there, COMPUTR, and just set an alarm real quick. Computer, set an alarm for 1 minute.
Alarm set for 1 minute from now.
Okay, excellent. All right, so you guys are pretty familiar with alarms. We could do a whole nother episode about that. I've done a number of episodes about that. Very versatile. You can set them to wake you up every day. There's all sorts of different repeating functions in alarms. But
Correct. Alarms are quite flexible.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're still listening. But anyway, today we're going to talk about the Jingles in particular. So let's talk about that. First off, let's hear this jingle. Okay, so there you go. That's probably one of the original jingles. Okay, so that is probably an alarm you're very familiar with. That's the default alarm that's been on the A-Lady for last, 10, 12 years they've had it. But you could always go in and change those jingles. And you could, of course, always verbally say, hey, wake me up to Elvis Presley tomorrow. And it would wake you up to whatever your default music provider was and try and play Elvis Presley. But there's some other unique features that have happened. Now, on occasions, this was before A-Lady Plus, so I don't know how A-Lady Plus handles this. But there were times at one point where it would prompt me, hey, would you like to make this to your default tone or alarm tone? I don't know if it still does that, where it verbally asks you that. But how would you go about setting it to something different if you wanted to? So first off, if you opened up the A-Lady app and you went to the More button in the top left, that slides out a menu, you go to Alarms and Timers. It's been a while since I've delved in here, so it's kind of neat to kind of look at it again. If you go into Alarms and Timers, you need to make sure that Alarms, I believe, is selected. And then this is kind of a weird UI thing I've never seen them do before. There's a Settings button, but it's not a gear in the top right corner. It's actually near the bottom. And so you'll go down there and tap on Settings. And then it asks you, okay, what alarm settings do you specifically want to tailor? Because it varies from device to device. So my Echo Dot in my kitchen can be different from my Echo Dot in my bedroom, or my Echo Dot in my office can be different from my Echo Show in my living room. So they each can have different alarms that are set up and different ways of responding and dealing with alarms. So in particular, you would want to select one. Now, in my case, I went and selected my office Echo, which I use here in the studio. And on the next page, you have some pretty cool options. You have, of course, the default volume. You can change that verbally. So you can always say, set the alarm volume to 5, and she'll set it to 5. And that way, if you're playing really soft music in the at night to go to bed, you'll still wake up to the appropriate volume in the morning. So those are two separate volume settings. Also, if you go down the page, you'll see an option to switch a switch on to make it so it comes on gently, like if this is something you're waking up to. It starts off real soft, maybe a volume 1, then it wakes a few seconds, then 2, then 3, and 4, till it moves all the way up to whatever your volume setting was, 5 in this case. So you can toggle that on and off. There's a few other options in there that are kind of interesting. One, you can tap on the Jingles or option there and go in and select your different jingles, like the one we just heard. You have a number of theatrical or like ones they've had over the years, that with movies and TV shows that they've bought that they specifically made. There's even a tab at the top for premium ones, which are of a similar genre, but it looks like they've kind of orphaned that system. They haven't continued to progress and do anything with that. But that's good. That's okay, because you don't need to really worry about it. But if you're on the main tab, at the near top, I saw something interesting, which is that you can designate, it had a list of about 5 or 6 different alarms that I had manually set verbally. So say I want to wake up to Dave's wake up playlist in my bedroom every morning. Well, I would say, hey, lady, set a alarm for every day to wake up to Dave's wake up playlist. Now, what's interesting there is it had a listing of all those that I had selected. So like I had an air horn set for the living room, play air horn on Amazon Music, or whatever, a lot of different Amazon Music has jingles and different things. You could hear a truck backing up, your toilet flushing, the most annoying alarms, like red alert on Star Trek, whatever you want. But you find that jingle, and then after that, it's listed as kind of like in the top 5 queue here in the app. Now, why is that important? Well, the cool thing is if I've set it on one occasion, it looks like, so I say, I'm in the living room. I say, hey, lady, set an alarm for 3 p.m. to air siren on Amazon Music. Okay. Now it goes off and it sounds right. Everything is playing the kind of jingle I want. After that, I can go into the app, go where I told you, the more button, alarms, then settings, and then select the one in the living room. And I can actually make that a permanent selection. So I don't have to manually verbally say it from now on. Every time the alarm goes off in the living room, it's going to play the air horn siren. Unless I specifically say something else. Like I say, hey, lady, set an alarm for 7 p.m., wake me up to Elvis Presley or something like that. So unless I otherwise, the default jingle from that time will be something very personal that I had potentially set for it. So this is great for kids or other family members, or you can maybe have different alarms in different parts of the house, and just by maybe hearing it, you'll know, oh, that's that has a specific meaning to me or something like that. So it's really kind of handy, and I think it's kind of cool. But anyway, I just thought I'd share that with you, so it's pretty snazzy, and I hope that brings you some benefits. Now, for listeners, as I mentioned earlier, especially for our new Australian listeners, you can find our back catalog where we've demonstrated all the AI goodness with A-Lady Plus at our YouTube channel very easily. If you go to CertDoctor, C-E-R-T, Doctor, DOCTOR.com/YouTube, that will direct you directly over to our YouTube channel. And our playlist I have a playlist specifically in there of almost everything that we've done with the AI goodness. From the very first time I had access, I think in June of 2025, something like that, and all the way forward. So a lot of cool stuff, using AI to create routines verbally, the website where you can go to alady.amazon.com and upload files and have her triage things, how you can email documents to her, all sorts of cool stuff back there. If you're an Aussie and you didn't get a chance and now you're wondering what's new and what do I have access to, that's a cool way to go back and see how you can use some of that stuff. Well, anyway, till next time, as always, we thank you for listening.